Last year, we ended the year strong with a little bit under 100 million US in ad spend.
Do you try to work with a specific type of company with Xevio?
We don't have a style of client. We are interested in big accounts. Our average account is spending about $500,000 a month, which means that we turn down probably 9 out of 10 client requests at this point.
How and when did you notice that it was time to actually grow more?
I think growth has been the hardest part at Xevio. Is how do you empower the right people? How do you keep people motivated and offer our partners the same quality than I was giving them 3 years ago when I was managing campaigns, right? That is the hardest part of growth.
Is Xevio a remote first company where you have different people working in the time zones for the US, for Germany, for Spain, for that type of countries?
I don't believe we could build the culture that we have without meeting in person regularly. We're a company that was founded off of people that wanted to build a lifestyle company.
Hey everybody, thank you for tuning in. My name is Andres Figueira and I'm going to be your host for the day. This show is brought to you by the Global Talent Company, helping fast-growing teams hire exceptional remote talent from Argentina, South Africa, and beyond. We connect companies with world-class professionals who bring skill, reliability, and a global perspective to every role. And just for our listeners, we're offering an exclusive 10% discount on your first hire. All you need to do is visit globaltalent.co, click Start Hiring, and mention the podcast listener discount when we get in touch. And with me here today, I am speaking with Nadim Kuttab, CEO and co-founder at Xevio, a company that is leading the charge to bring native advertising to the forefront of paid media. And with that said, Nadim, welcome to the podcast, man. How are you doing?
Doing good. Thank you very much, Andres. It's good to be here.
Likewise. No, we're very glad to have you, man. And Nadim, just so that we can get the episode started and have the audience put a bit more into context of who you are, would you be able to tell us your background, what Xevio is in your own words, and maybe how you came to the idea of founding this company?
I am the CEO and co-founder of a 50-person at this point agency team based in Europe with our HQ here in Cologne in Germany. We are a mix of different backgrounds. I guess we've come together from all walks of life to co-founders. There's 6 co-founders, so we're quite a big founder team. It's a little bit atypical to have that many people on board, including my wife. So we really we went and we really tried something new, and it's been working great. We started 3 years ago and 11 days. I think that's the 17th of January 2023 was our kickoff date. We've been growing ever since, and I've been in the native advertising game a little bit over 9 years now, I think almost 9.5. So I've seen it change a lot, and we're here. Last year, we ended the year strong with a little bit under 100 million US in ad spend.
Wow, that is amazing. And 6 co-founders is a lot. It's the first time I've heard of so many people coming together to found one company. And is there any type of anecdote or story behind why you guys are so many that you could be able to tell us?
Sure. We started with a smaller group here in Germany. I was my wife, myself, and 2 of my former colleagues, a good school friend of mine. And we were working together at my previous agency. I sold my stake there, brought them over, and we started Xevio in early 2023. We then relatively quickly got into conversations with 2 guys from Taboola, which is also our biggest advertising partner, the network that we spend money on. And they were looking for a new challenge. We'd been working together for years. I had a lot of respect for them, and it kind of we started a new company together, where we had a stake in their company. And last December, we kind of finished the merger, and now in January, we're all under the Xevio group. So it's one big company at this point. But
okay,
that's the story.
Oh my goodness. And Xevio is now 3 years and 11 days old.
Yes, sir. Probably when this comes out would be like 3 days and 6 weeks. 3 years and 6 weeks.
But that's beautiful, man. Happy belated birthday to Xevio, since it's already been 3 years. It's so cool when you see it's like your child. It grows up and it just starts walking, and then you see it grow more. And okay, Nadim, could you maybe then now tell us a bit more about who your specific clients are? Do you have any type of requirements, or do you try to work with a specific type of company with Xevio, or is it just anybody who requires your services that can reach out?
So we don't have a style of client. We are interested in big accounts. Our average account is spending about $500,000 a month. So we're not an agency for small accounts, which means that we turn down probably 9 out of 10 client requests at this point, which is, again, atypical for an agency, right? Most agencies try to take on what they can. We don't have retainers. So if you're familiar with the agency model, we were kind of going against the stream by not tying our clients. They can leave us tomorrow at any point in time.
Okay.
They control the budgets. We run in their ad accounts, and we have essentially fees based on what we deliver, which makes us a performance agency, right? There's a lot of risk associated with that, in the sense that theoretically, if performance drops today, my business is gone tomorrow. It's a very interesting type of challenge as a CEO. How do you hire 50 people in Europe, where labor laws are definitely probably amongst the strongest globally? I mean, if you want to work with us and want your campaigns to work on native, you go through our process. We ask you a bunch of questions. We audit your account, see what you're doing elsewhere, and then decide together as a team whether we want to take you on. Because we lose money in the first 1 to 3 months of every project. Because again, we're not charging minimums. There's nothing, if you don't spend a lot of money, we test a ton of stuff, we're not going to make a ton of revenue.
Okay, it is a very different business model from the one that I'm used to. And Nadim, would you be able to maybe help if anybody in the audience isn't aware or is maybe not that sure of what you're talking about? Like, what is native advertising for you guys?
Native ads are pretty much, they're changing, first of all. So the old definition of native was definitely articles on the internet in apps that would have ads at the bottom of the article. That's like the traditional below the feed native. Nowadays, because both of the largest 2 companies in the native space, Taboola and Outbrain, now called Teads, went public a couple of years back, there's a huge amount of pressure to grow. They're also expanding outside of what traditionally would be native. So they're opening push, they're opening display to compete with Google and other channels. CTV has been scaling like crazy right now via Teads. So native isn't what it used to be. That poses its own set of challenges, right? What do you do? Where do you spend your dollars? The benefit I think native brings is it's so relatively unknown. And because the market is quite small, so I think the biggest player is like $2.5 billion annual spent global, which is a lot of money for an individual or a company, is not that much when you compare it to like a Meta or a Google or even some of the smaller networks, right? So if you become big in native, it makes it very difficult for others to compete with you, and you kind of have a niche channel for your traffic. So
wow,
that's kind of what we offer
cool.
our clients, right? We say, hey, we want to take over this space for you. We make it very difficult for your competitors to enter. And help you generate a ton of money consistently over a long period of time. And our client churn's tiny, but it's also very difficult to kind of find the right client. I'd say, again, 9 out of 10 of the requests don't even start with us, right? We're just like, this is not going to work. I'm sorry, it's not big enough. It's not interesting. Try it yourself, be my guest, but we're not going to take you on as a client.
Okay. Oh my goodness. So I feel that the real challenge here isn't you've got what you mentioned, like 9 years of experience in the native advertising area. And so the major challenge here is to find the right customer for you guys. And that way just keep on building the business.
And it's not even the right customer. I mean, let me give you an example. We have had a lot of e-commerce clients, small brands that started. I mean, the craziest case was that they're on YouTube talking about this all the time. The 2 co-founders of Hype, which are probably, when I look up at e-commerce founders, the most successful, the smartest. They've done so many things right into building their business, and they started quite small in Meta, as a lot of these brands do, and then grew thanks to the scale that in part native was able to provide and the eyeballs we were able to bring to their page. To I mean, they're doing hundreds of millions in revenue, and they didn't exist when Xevio was founded. To give you a perspective of the time, right? It's not a very old company that kind of grew over 10 years, but they really scaled it very aggressively, and native played a huge part in that. And they were the only shoe brand that was scaling like crazy in the US for years on native.
Okay. And about how many customers do you have nowadays with Xevio, Nadim? Like, do you have a wallet of 10 customers per month or less?
So we try to minimize churn as much as we can. So we're very selective to start. I think that's kind of evident based on the rejection rate. So we do our very best to kind of have the best possible chance of success. I'd say our hit rate is about 50% right now. So 50% of the clients that we onboard end up being successful and scaling to some degree. For us, successful is like 5 figures a month, ideally mid 6 figures, right? So if we can get there after a couple of weeks / 2 months, 3 months, yay. If not, then probably not an ideal fit. We have, how many clients? Probably including pipeline, like testing clients, 30-ish at any given point, of which maybe 15 are scaling and the others are kind of being warmed up and tested. And there's obviously on the testing, front, we do our very best to test fast, fail fast, and move on if there's no sign of life.
Exactly, like mitigate risk and mitigate spending from either side that is not needed if it's not
terrible.
Gonna be a
If you have a budget of a client is like 20K and you notice after 3 you're like, you know what, none of these metrics are adding up, we'll stop. We'll tell the client, like, I'm really sorry that we don't have more to show, but like your CTR is bad, your click-through rate's bad, the conversion rate's terrible, it's not the right product, we're not hitting the right people, and then we'll try to find a way to move forward, and if not, we'll stop.
Okay. No, I like that. It's a blunt approach and it's a proper way to stay transparent and make sure that the clients trust you and that if you're doing a good job, you'll tell them. And if you're not, you'll also be able to tell them.
Especially because we don't tie our clients. Remember this. So if we're not doing a good job, they don't stick around. They can leave. And it's very important for us that there's trust and we can, as a performance agency, we actually perform. It's the hardest part of being a performance agency is performance.
Exactly. No, I think you're the first performance agency that I'm speaking to properly, and I'm having such an issue wrapping my head around the fact that you don't hire the client. It's like there's no contract signed. It's not a fact that they need to stay.
Contract, but there's anything in that contract. It's essentially just the basis of how we get paid and how we work with you. And it's more of a framework over cooperation. I don't see the word client is wrong. It's much more of a partnership, right? They're investing into us, we're investing into them, and if it works, we'll all make a lot of money, and if not, then there are other fields to go graze on, right? Like native is not the only channel they can try.
How long did it take for you to get your team to this size? Like from when you first founded it until you had your first customer, how much time did it pass? And then how and when did you notice that it was time to actually grow more?
I think growth has been the hardest part at Xevio. I'm doing this now for the second time, but for the first time properly. And the challenge, I think, as CEO, especially I'm 32, Andres, I haven't been working in businesses for 20 years, and is how do you empower the right people? How do you keep people motivated? And as you grow from this very small founder-led entity towards this much more like a company that's built on individuals that have contracts and salaries and bonuses, how do you keep people motivated and offer our partners the same quality than I was giving them 3 years ago when I was managing campaigns, right? That is the hardest part of growth. I think we're now entering a new, like in January this year, a new era. We noticed at some point in the summer last year, our systems that we built, which was very much like one big team that was working on everything, wasn't scaling with our size. And so we said, okay, we're going to break it up into pieces. We're going to have what we call pods, where you have these task force that are working on either one, like a style of client or a niche or a product or just one client. And they become experts in that world, and everything to do with that product or that client sticks to a very small group of people that are very good at what they do. And that's been helping us grow. We added a hired C-level. So our C-level is now pretty much exclusively not founder-led, which has been a huge shift from how we were working 2 years ago.
I can only imagine, and it's also I imagine that it must be a big challenge with so many founders, and I believe that caused to not need expansion so quickly because you were so many people that understood the company perfectly,
and that you can put into important roles, right? Like a founder can drive a department relatively independently. There's no discussions about salaries. There's essentially you're expected to do everything, which is a lot at a startup growing as quickly as we are. And to be fair, I have an incredible group of founders, and I wouldn't do it differently today if I had to restart.
No, and I do believe that it's the fact that, yeah, when you're so many people and there's so many hands on deck and everybody knows what the main idea was and the original idea of what you wanted to accomplish is so visible, then delegating that must have been like quite hard, finding somebody that could enter that circle of trust, because it was pretty big already. And it's like keep on adding the C-level and making sure that the talent you bring into the company matches the culture you guys have. But I love how you were able to then optimize the scaling of the company by creating these pods, because I really feel that that's one of the best ways to take it when you have so many different clients, industries, or stuff like that. Then having them specialize on one allows them to really concentrate on the work they need to do. And Nadim, in terms of the clients you have and where Xevio, like, I know you mentioned Germany, but do you have clients all around the world, or are you guys looking at a certain demographic or certain countries that you want to work with?
There are, I'd say, guardrails that force us into a certain direction. So native is very small in some countries, or very fragmented. So if you look at the Nordics as a good example, Taboola and Outbrain barely have inventory there. They barely have a presence. So even if we wanted to buy on these channels there, we'd be limited to a couple of $100 a day, best case. Like it would be tiny. So it's not really worth it for us to close like a Swedish client that's running only in Sweden. I'd say right now it's about 40%, 35% Germany, 50% US, and 15% kind of broken out between UK, which had really big months and pretty small months last year. We had like a seasonal product, and France, Italy, and Spain.
Okay.
Those I think are emerging markets. They have a lot of inventory. The prices are still pretty low. So they're probably where Germany was 5 years ago, which now, I mean, we're spending tens of millions here in the market, is definitely worth the attention. But the biggest market by far, with around half the global inventory in terms of spend, is the US. So there's a huge focus on the US. And I mean, I don't need to tell you this, any marketer knows Americans like to buy, they like to click, they like to read, they like to watch. I mean, it's a great market to sell stuff in, and it's going to be the backbone of a lot of what we do, I think, for the years to come.
And Nadim, also another question I have is Xevio a remote first company where you have different people working in the time zones for the US, for Germany, for Spain, for that type of countries? Or do you have a physical office and is that where everybody is gathering?
We have like, I don't know what it is in square feet, Andres. If you use square meters, like 350 square meters here in Cologne, over 2 floors. We have a full deck studio. We have, I don't know how many desks here, 30-ish people. I think we're 20-something. We're 20-something in the office. I mean, I don't believe we could build the culture that we have without meeting in person regularly. It's about 50% remote with Xevio. We have a team in London, which meets up every week if they can. We have a relatively fragmented team in Spain, the Netherlands, Eastern Europe. We have a couple of people in Asia, not many, and they're working European times. So our home base is very much Central European time. Like that's when you have to be online, and we don't have any staff in the US. We have a guy in Mexico, again, trying to work German times as best he can. It's not easy. I respect the hours he has to get up in the morning and be awake very early, but we do offer insane benefits, right? We're a company that was founded off of people that wanted to build a lifestyle company. We wanted to, all founders are aligned on this. We want to give back. We want to have fun in what we do. We want to be proud of what we're building, right? And as marketers, you're never going to build the best company in the world that changes everything for the better. That marketing isn't that.
Of course.
In 99.9% of the cases. But we do try to provide for the people that are here. We try to have fulfilling projects, and every day there's lunch. So we order Uber Eats on a daily basis. There's a link, people can join. They get a budget of like $25, $30. They can order what they want into the office. It's a huge pain from a tax perspective in Germany because that's seen as salary. So we have to pay their taxes on whatever they eat. But it's
oh my God.
For North Americans or South Americans, this is like a completely new, like, well, you have to pay for your employees' meals. Yeah, you have to tax the benefit that we give them here in Germany. But they get a gym membership. We do our very best to, I mean, they have unlimited trains they can take. There's like a card that you can buy. But this is really the only way that you can keep people motivated, to give them uncapped commission structures and massive benefits and give them a reason to show up with 100% of the battery full every day, and they'll do a good job. I mean, the typical marketing agency, at least here in Europe, underpays their staff, hires a bunch of interns, has a huge churn of their top people, and is making money because they're underpaying staff and overcharging clients. And I like to think that we do that a bit differently, where we overpay and are also very expensive for our clients, but the expectations towards us from our clients are also super high. So if we're not top, best in class in what we do, they'll replace us because there's cheaper alternatives for sure. But at the same time, because we have extremely attractive incentives and can keep, essentially, we had our first employee, really a good employee, leave on his own accord because he got offered an incredible opportunity with the founder of a big e-commerce brand to build something. And I was like, dude, take it. But in 3 years to have virtually no churn, and if you'd asked me a month ago, no churn, right? Then it's pretty hard to do, I think, in our industry. And it shows, it's a testament, I think, to the work that the team has done to build a healthy and supportive environment that really pushes everybody to continue growing and be better.
No, and I really admire how you're separating yourself from the generic marketing agency that is underpaying, overcharging, and you are here being totally candid with the fact that you are keeping your employees and your workforce happy with all the benefits that you're providing, and with the fact that, yeah, you could charge a lot for the customer you get, but you're also delivering a different and a higher level of quality.
Because our demands of these customers are they give us insights into what we're doing. We can see the impact we're having on pretty much 99% of the clients and the partners that we work with. So I can see, am I too expensive? Is my impact not enough? Do we need to invest more resources? Or do we need to let a client know, listen, we're not going to hit your targets. So what do you want to do? Do you want to continue? Do you want to use a different attribution model that might support our case better than elastic attribution model? But it's a decision we make together transparently, because again, otherwise you're not a performance marketing agency and they'll leave you if they don't feel like you're doing them right.
You got to meet the expectations and the requirements every single time, or if not, it'll just be the grounds for them to say goodbye. Okay, now I get that.
That's super hard, by the way. It's not like, I'm not saying, hey, we're the best and we're breezing through this and, life is peachy. I mean, you live in the same world I live in. It's been massively crazy. And, since COVID, things have just been unbelievably bumpy across the board. I do, however, believe that as crazy as it sounds, the fact that things aren't super easy right now are a huge asset to a company like Xevio. Although I'd much rather prefer things were much more quiet from a founder perspective, right? From a person, from a human perspective. But the fact that things are difficult, people are scared of buying stuff, and things have gotten expensive, and there's a ton of problems that people face on a daily basis, means that traditional channels are being challenged. And meeting demand that these companies have is a lot harder using only search and social. So there's a huge pressure right now to get out of search and social into other channels. And obviously, as a niche agency focusing on one thing and doing that best in class globally, if they want to do native correctly, at some point in time, they'll come knocking on our door. And that means we have a huge surplus of demand. We could probably be a 500-person company today and not remotely saturate the demand that we have. We haven't even begun proper outreach. We're starting to build a sales team. Like you can imagine, this thing grew essentially as quick as it could organically, or as quick as we were comfortable growing it organically. And we're nowhere near, I think, a saturation point.
Amazing. That's crazy. And Nadim, then I'm also curious about what's it called? How are you guys leveraging AI to help you in your everyday tasks? Or maybe if there's some way you can tell us that is a more peculiar use case that you found for AI, maybe pertaining to native. Since I'm not that in depth of the topic, I'm not sure if
let me give you a quick rundown of a native campaign. There's an ad. It's small. It's a tiny image somewhere on your screen, whether it's your phone or your desktop. It's not taking up a lot of real estate. You have a headline that's between 60 and 100 characters long. You have maybe a small description and a call to action, if at all, right? Okay. The whole ad, if it's on your phone, it'll be like, I don't know, like this. You'll have like a little maximum.
I'm imagining it in those articles. I'm scrolling down and then I see an ad right at the middle that I can, okay, and I just keep on going.
And it looks like an article. It'll be like, hey, 3 reasons why outdoor freaks are using these shoes, as an example, right? If you go hiking, a hiking expert recommends take these three things with you into the wilderness. Things like that they'll be packaged like an article. And when you click on them, you'll land on a page that's written like an article with a tag advertorial. So it's essentially a paid article. So right now, 99% of the ads that we're running on the front end are in some way, shape, or form generated with AI. A year ago, that number was under 20%.
And did you have people designing the ad then? Like you had somebody?
Yeah, this was a huge challenge actually right now in what we're dealing with, where the team that does these ads isn't needed for ads anymore. So we need to retrain them. We need to find something else for them to do that's valuable. And these people are great. They're amazing. They're motivated. We have one of the best design leads I've ever worked with. He's phenomenal. But it does mean that the demand for what they were doing 2 years ago doesn't exist anymore. It's the same with content. So AI speeds up the production of content and at the same time makes it more complicated to produce high quality stuff, because an AI isn't able to produce a piece of content that's as good as something one of my copywriters would spend hours producing.
Of course.
It'll be almost as good, but again, we're not hired to do almost the best job, right? When a client comes to us, they want to be beating everybody else in the market in the segment that they're in. So our team uses AI, obviously, to especially ideate, like talk to another person. That's essentially what AI is being used for. And at the same time, really focus on like guiding the AI and editing the text blocks that come out of it. Like you cannot write a 2,000-word landing page in 5 minutes with AI and it won't be any good. You can write 30 text segments with AI that you edit and adjust and reprompt and spend hours doing, and then you have a good piece of content that's AI generated, but it's not really AI generated. It's generated with massive inputs from humans that know what they're doing. And I think this is the key. We're trying now to automate this as much as possible. We have built or in the process of releasing like an alpha internally. This will not be a public tool, but at some point, Xevio will have an AI tech stack that streamlines the production of everything and that is funneled by the hundreds of thousands of dollars we're spending a day worth of data, right? So all of that data will be pushed into an AI and an agent, and we're trying and we are testing. We're spending quite a bit of money building this and testing it. Definitely 6 figures right now every semester. So we're investing a lot into kind of trying to crack the code. But at the same time, the human element is so important, especially in guiding. I do think the concept of like a copywriter will cease to exist in 3 years. I think it'll be much more like a creative crafter that somebody can kind of piece together all of these moving pieces with different LLMs and different models and different tools to create something really cool and unique. It definitely won't be somebody sitting in Google Doc and typing a text for 3 hours. That will be dead.
No, I feel that is also the way that it's going. And when you mentioned like the great design lead that you work with, I was like, yeah, that person's value has not gone anywhere. Maybe they won't be spending the time creating the design, but their value is still as important in regards to what prompt you give the AI to generate something, because you still need creativity to ask it to make something cool, because AI can make anything, but it can also make trash. So it's like making sure you give the proper prompts to the AI, and then it might be AI generated, but human edited. And that way you make sure that it's obtaining like the proper voice and how you want it toned.
Yeah.
But I get what you mean, and it's so cool that you're creating your own tool of Xevio, because that is someone that can then go places. It can even be sold as a service to other companies if that's even an idea for you guys. But oh my goodness, it's so exciting to see the potential that the future may hold.
I think the biggest risk and challenge, so to speak, that we have is we have to stay on top of things. We have to be the best all the time, and we won't 100%. There will be at times or moments where we're like, crap, that's a really good piece of content that somebody else wrote. Like, damn it, why didn't we think about that? But it's important to keep people, I think, really motivated to keep pushing the boundaries. And there's a reason why We have the strongest track record in the native ad space. We have the biggest accounts. We're the biggest spender on Taboola globally and Mediago globally, and hopefully this year Teads and Outbrain. And so you have a really good foundation. We have extremely good people, but you have to stay on top of things. You cannot be complacent. And this is one of the bad things I think about being an agency owner that people should be aware of before they start, running an agency. It never stops. It does not matter what you do. There is never a moment, especially now with AI and LLMs coming in to kind of crash the party, where you can be complacent, right? If people are paying you a lot of money to do the job and to spend their money effectively, it does not matter how good your relationship with them is and how good of a seller you are. If you don't deliver results, you're going to be out before you can blink.
It's true. No, and you got to constantly keep on learning about all the updates with the different LLMs and how it can be used better and what this new modality provides and what it can bring to the table. And it's just crazy because it feels like we never stop educating ourselves, which we shouldn't. But now it's just like a bare necessity to keep in the only, like, even just ride the coattails of what's going on, because I'm not even in the forefront of knowing everything that AI is capable of. I'm still trying to learn every single tool that I'm interested in, but it takes a while, and it's something that has its own learning curve. So I totally get you there, man.
I think it's also just something that, you need to give your staff time to learn. I think a lot of people are expecting, okay, I'm going to spend 10 minutes in Gemini and I'm going to be an expert. Not how it works, right? You don't learn something that quickly. It's close to impossible. And there's I think knowledge sharing within teams is going to become so important, because as people find other use cases of these tools, if they only use them and don't tell their colleagues about them, it will not affect your company. It will not help your company, right? You need to kind of have this. I think the use of LLMs will be one of the biggest and best kept secrets at bigger companies, because they'll do their very best to kind of just build these layers on top of whatever is available to keep an advantage over their competitors. It'll be what we're trying to do. And at some point, maybe later this year, I'll say, hey, we tripled our ad spend without adding a single creative member, right? It's not unrealistic, right? It could happen.
It could happen, and I'm sure that it totally will, as long as you guys just keep chipping at it as you have. Because to already be having like these ideas and how you want it to move forward with only 3 years having existed, 3 years and 11 days, I believe that says a lot about how you guys are working and what you have in the plans for the future. So really excited for all of that, man. And Nadim, I'm noticing that we're almost at time with the episode, but before I actually finalize or close it out, I did want to give you the chance to let anybody who's hearing us know how they can get in contact with Xevio to see if they're a proper fit. We already understand that they need to hit certain requirements in how much budget they have available and how much they are having as income. But how would a company be able to contact you or Xevio in general and just be able to...
There are many ways. And they all lead to the same inbox. I think LinkedIn, if you look up my name, there aren't that many Nadim Kuttabs or Nadim Batista Kuttabs around. I think there's only one. With the name combination that I have. Our website has a contact form. It has an email, xevio.io, xevio.io.
Okay.
If you ask your Taboola or Outbrain or Mediago account managers for a recommendation, 9 out of 10 times will be in the list that they give you. Most of the time will be at the top. So anywhere you need help with, let us know. We do audits for free. We're not this type of company that will charge you to talk about native with us. We also have an educational platform that we built as a service to the networks.
Okay.
I give it out for free, but then you have like 1,000 people that aren't spending any money in it, and the conversations don't go anywhere. So we've put like a bit of a barrier. It's monthly, I think $200 at this point. You can cancel anytime. You get access to everything immediately, and there's a community in Slack where people are using and exchanging ideas, as well as they have access to what my team has uncreatively called the Nadim GPT. Or the Native Hub GPT, I think is the real term. It's essentially all of the videos, all of our webinars, all of our conferences, all of the scripts from all of the meetings that we've done, as well as all of the consulting sessions fed into an AI with the ability to ask the AI questions about native, and it works surprisingly well. So they get access to that in the hub, and they can ask the questions and engage with other members, do weekly consulting calls with senior buyers on my side. And if you're not sure about your commitment to native and you don't know where to start, I'd recommend that. And if you ping me, I can also send you a free trial.
Okay. I love Nadim GPT. That is a term that'll be coined.
Andres, if you're in it, I wish I could share my screen here. They put like these gifs while the GPT is loading, and they're ridiculous. I'm just like, guys, if we ever become like a big serious company, you need to change that. It'll be like me vaping or me flying away. I'm like,
Oh my God, I love that. I love that. But so anybody who just you heard it here first, then in order to get in contact, just go to Xevio.io or then just look up Nadim Kuttab on LinkedIn, and you can also be able to get a hold of everybody there and just make sure it's a proper fit. But yeah, without further ado, Nadim, thank you so much, man, for hopping on the show. Really appreciate your insights, your transparency, and for being able to tell us your story, because Xevio is an interesting one, and I can't wait to see what you guys keep doing in the future.
Thank you very much, Andre. It was a pleasure being here, and yeah, good luck with everything.
No, the pleasure has been all mine, man. And to anybody in the audience who's here listening to us, thank you so much for being on the episode, for coming over to listen to all the different personalities we talked to and all the different industries that we're learning about. So with that said, have a good one.